Beyond networking, building communities that transform lives. Have you ever walked into a room full of strangers and felt that immediate knot in your stomach? That voice whispering, you don't belong here? That sensation of being both physically present yet utterly invisible at the same time? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Barbara Jones, and I must tell you, what she shared has fundamentally transformed my understanding of what it means to truly connect in today's fractured world. Barbara isn't just a visionary. She's a revolutionary architect of human connection who has dedicated her life to reimagining how Black professionals build meaningful relationships that transcend traditional networking. Her insights cut through the noise of conventional career advice and strike at something far more profound: our fundamental human need for authentic community. The truth is, we've been thinking about networking all wrong. We've reduced it to awkward small talk and business card exchanges when it should be about something far more powerful: building authentic communities that lift us all. And in a world where isolation has become our default state, Barbara's wisdom isn't just timely, it's essential. When Barbara spoke about connection, she didn't talk about climbing corporate ladders. She talked about building elevators that bring everyone up together. The difference, she told me, with that characteristic spark in her eyes, is that ladders can only hold one person at a time, while elevators transform entire communities. And that's what I want to explore with you today: how we can transform the way we think about professional relationships, especially for those who have historically been left out of the conversation. Let me ask you something. How many LinkedIn connections do you have? 500, 1,000, 2,000? Now, how many of those people would you call at 2 a.m. if you were stranded on the side of the road? How many would advocate for you in a closed door meeting where your career was on the line? How many would tell you the hard truth when you need to hear it most? That's the difference between a network and a community. And for Black professionals, especially Black women, this distinction isn't just philosophical, it's essential for survival and success in spaces that weren't designed with them in mind. Consider the Black Executive Man Community, or BEM. This isn't just another professional organization with fancy letterhead and quarterly mixers. It's a carefully curated network of over 900 Black executives across 40 global regions who understand something profound. They don't just network, they build. One member of BEM shared a story that still gives me chills. For 7 years, 7 years, he consistently outperformed his peers, yet was repeatedly overlooked for promotions. The isolation was crushing. In corporate America, being the only Black person in the room isn't just uncomfortable, it can be career limiting when informal networks drive advancement opportunities. Those casual invitations to golf outings or after work drinks, the places where real decisions get made, somehow never materialized for him. But within 6 months of joining BEM, something remarkable happened. Through intentional mentorship and advocacy from fellow members, he went from being consistently overlooked to being personally recommended by the CEO for a position he hadn't even applied for. When he asked the CEO what changed, the response was telling: I finally saw what others had been seeing all along. This wasn't luck or coincidence. It was community in action. In just the last quarter alone, 6 vice presidents within BEM were promoted through member advocacy. One casual dinner conversation between members transformed into a $1 billion partnership. These aren't just success stories, they're evidence of what happens when we invest in each other beyond transactional relationships. As Barbara emphasized during our conversation, the men here don't network, they build. They create masterminds, share promotion blueprints like the now famous Google L8 roadmap, form accountability partnerships, and advocate fiercely for one another. They understand that true progress isn't individual, it's collective. But building community isn't just about professional advancement. It's about creating spaces where people can be authentically themselves without the exhausting code switching that drains so many Black professionals daily. One BAM member described it with such beautiful simplicity. For the first time in my career, I can exhale. I don't have to explain microaggressions or justify my experiences. Everyone just gets it, and we can focus on solutions rather than convincing others our challenges are real. This is the power of intentional community, creating spaces where people don't just survive, but thrive. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for executives, but what about those of us still climbing? What about those of us who don't already have a seat at the table? This is where organizations like the BYP network come in. Using AI powered technology, they're connecting Black professionals globally, personalizing everything from job opportunities to events through their innovative tool called Javelin. What makes BYP remarkable isn't just the technology, it's the philosophy behind it. They recognize that talented Black professionals often struggle with visibility in traditional hiring channels. Rather than accepting this reality, they built an entirely new ecosystem. One BYP member, a software engineer with exceptional skills but limited industry connections, found herself repeatedly passed over for roles she was qualified for. Through BYP's AI matching system, she connected with a mentor in her field who not only helped refine her portfolio, but introduced her to hiring managers directly. Within weeks, she had three job offers, all at higher salaries than she had initially hoped for. But more importantly, she gained confidence navigating an industry where she rarely saw people who looked like her. It wasn't just about finding a job, she shared. It was about finding my people. This is what happens when we move beyond networking to community building. It's not just about finding a job, it's about creating spaces where people can envision futures previously thought impossible. But here's the thing about community building that often gets overlooked: it requires vulnerability. And vulnerability can be terrifying, especially for those who've been burned by professional relationships before. A creative professional featured in Success magazine shared how networking initially felt like an unsustainable roller coaster of anxiety and rejection. Every interaction seemed transactional, every conversation a performance. I felt like I was constantly selling myself, they said, and I was exhausted. The breakthrough came when they stopped focusing on self promotion and started approaching each interaction as an opportunity for mutual growth. They set aside time each month specifically for nurturing connections, not out of obligation, but from genuine curiosity about what could be built together. The results were transformative. Residencies and artistic directorships that once seemed out of reach became reality. A casual post show conversation with a favorite director evolved into mentorship. Brief moments opened major doors because they were approached with authenticity rather than agenda. This is what Barbara Jones emphasized throughout our interview, that the most powerful connections aren't built on what you can get, but on what you can give. They're built on showing up consistently, not just when you need something. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking: this all sounds great, but I'm an introvert. Networking drains me. Or perhaps I've tried building professional relationships before and been disappointed. Here's what's liberating: building community isn't about personality type, it's about intention. It's about approaching relationships with generosity rather than calculation. And it's about persistence, understanding that meaningful communities aren't built overnight. Barbara shared a powerful insight during our conversation that I haven't been able to shake. Never give up on people or your community. Progress is collective, and the journey may be challenging, but staying committed to uplifting one another leads to breakthroughs that benefit everyone. This philosophy is evident in how both BEM and BYP operate. They understand that knowledge is power and shared knowledge is exponential power. When members learn something valuable, whether it's a promotion strategy or an unposted job opportunity, they don't hoard that information. They share it, creating ripple effects that extend far beyond individual success. One BEM member discovered an effective approach for navigating a particularly challenging aspect of executive advancement. Rather than keeping this insight to himself, he created a detailed blueprint and shared it with the community. 6 months later, three other members had successfully used this approach to secure promotions. This is the multiplier effect of community over networking. It's not just about what you know, it's about what you collectively know and freely share. But building these communities requires more than good intentions. It requires infrastructure, commitment, and sometimes technology. The BYP Network's AI powered matching system is a perfect example of how innovation can accelerate connection, making it easier for people to find not just opportunities, but their people, those who understand their journey without explanation. As Barbara Jones emphasized, when you combine curiosity with resourcefulness and share what you learn, you help build a foundation where everyone can thrive together. So, where do we go from here? How do we move from inspiration to action? I challenge you today to fundamentally reimagine your approach to professional relationships, not as transactions, but as transformations, not as stepping stones, but as shared journeys, not as what you can extract, but as what you can build together. Reach out this week to someone in your orbit, not with an agenda, not with a request, but with genuine curiosity and generosity. Ask not what they can do for you, but what you might create together, because the future doesn't belong to the most connected. It belongs to the most community minded. And remember what Barbara taught us. We don't just network, we build relationships that withstand challenges. We build communities that transform lives. We build futures that might otherwise remain unrealized. In a world that profits from our isolation, choosing connection is a revolutionary act. So let's not just connect, let's build something extraordinary together. Thank you.